Hello there, I'm Lora Cheadle, and today we are going to talk about infidelity and betrayal and how to recover and find forgiveness after you have experienced infidelity or betrayal, which I might add are two of the most painful experiences that a person can go through. And why I'm separating them as two experiences, because you might be thinking, wait, what do you mean two experiences? Infidelity is the act of having sex, sexual relations, sexting with another person. And that's the infidelity piece. But part and parcel with that, you also have the betrayal. And the betrayal is sometimes even more difficult to deal with, because the betrayal piece is that breaking of trust, confiding in somebody else emotionally. It can also be a financial betrayal, that somebody has used marital assets for somebody else. So just about every time there's an infidelity, there are also many other betrayals. And sometimes I think that's what makes it so difficult to move through and to find healing from. Because in our minds, we're going, it's just, it's just an infidelity. But in reality, it's so much more. It's the mental, the physical, the spiritual, the financial, the emotional, and all of those pieces are what come together and make this so difficult to heal from, so difficult to move through. Difficult, but not impossible. Before we dive into this, let me tell you a bit about me so you understand why you should listen to me. I am a former corporate attorney, and when I had my second baby, my husband and I made the joint decision that I should stay home and take care of the kids and, take care of the house and him so he could pursue his career, which he did. And although I loved being home with my kids, although I loved being the homemaker, I was very much in a place of self-sacrifice. I was always doing everything for everybody. And even though for the most part, I really enjoyed that and I thrived in that role, there was also a piece of me that was constantly longing for more. And I was looking forward to the day that my kids could fly the nest and I could turn my focus back on me and some of my dreams and some of my desires. When my kids went to school, I started my own part-time business. I went back to school. I became a certified hypnotherapist, a personal trainer, and a life coach. And I started working with women in finding their purpose, in finding fulfillment in their lives, both professionally and personally. But I always wrapped that job around the needs of my family, which worked really well. So right before my youngest was about to leave for college, right before I could finally start reconnecting with my husband and traveling with him, right before I could finally start pursuing my passions, building my dreams, that's when I found out that for 15 of our 23 years together, he had been cheating on me. Not just with one, but with 5 different women. And it gutted me. It broke me so completely. Not only did I feel betrayed by him, I felt betrayed by God. I felt like, how could this have happened to me? I was the one that always tried to do the right thing. I was always sacrificing myself. I was smiling through the pain. I was working for everybody's greater good. How could you, God, do this to me? And how could this happen? And how could I be so stupid not to notice? And I internalized it. What had I done wrong? If I had only, lost more weight, cooked better dinners, whatever it was, I internalized it. It was a long process. But today, my husband and I are still married. And not only are we still married, we are happier now than we ever were before. We know each other at a deeper and more authentic level. We are more connected to God, to spirit, to our whole divine life purpose. Our whole family is stronger and better for it. And truly, our lives are so much richer right now. And that's what I want for you. I want you to be able to take this betrayal, to take this infidelity, and to use it as a catalyst for growth. That growth does not have to look the same way it looked for me. But growth, whether it's personally, in your relationship with your family, in your business, just within yourself. Infidelity and betrayal, I think, is the number one way to find the connection with God, with yourself, that you may have always been looking for and weren't quite sure why you weren't finding it. Before we go into how to build this bridge to recover from betrayal and find forgiveness, I want to start with a reminder of Jesus. Judas betrayed Jesus. And that betrayal is truly what started the rest of the story. He's going along, he's preaching, he's got his ministry, things are happening. That betrayal set everything else in motion. The crucifixion, the resurrection, and everything that we have now. So please, wherever you're at in this journey, know that, like Jesus, this betrayal is the spark, the catalyst, and the thing that is starting it all. The other thing that I want to say is to make sure that you are safe, whether that's physical safety or emotional and mental safety. I don't know your situation. I don't know your partner's situation, but your first priority is to keep yourself, and if you've got kids or animals, to keep them safe too. It's not that you're giving up on somebody by removing yourself from a dangerous situation or having them removed. You're protecting your own life, your own physical and mental health. And above all else, know that you must do that first. And then, and only then, can you start building this bridge from this place of broken heartache and pain to a place of forgiveness and peace. Okay, the very, very first thing, we're building a bridge from this place of brokenness to forgiveness. When you are building a bridge, it means there is a big chasm that you need to leap. And although in our minds, we all say, I want this over with now. I just want to be done. I want to feel better. I want this behind me. I want to be healed. I want to be whatever it is. To make that leap is too big of a leap. It has to be done in stages. And you will be taking 3 steps forward and 2 steps back and 5 steps forward and 3 steps back. but it does have to be done in stages. And that's why this journey is one that needs to be done with grace, not with drive, but with grace. People always tell us to be strong and to dig deep. And yes, sometimes we do have to be strong and dig deep, but we also have to live this life with grace. Again, going back to when Jesus was betrayed. He was betrayed. Because of that betrayal, he was crucified. On the cross, at one point, he cried out, "Why have you forsaken me?" He felt pain. And he cried out in pain. And he still had grace around that whole experience. There was an elegance, there was a grace, there was a quiet power within him as he carried his cross, as he had the crown of thorns put in. And that's just something I challenge you to be aware of. How are you moving through this experience with grace? And when you need to cry out, please cry out. And please allow yourself to cry out from that place of honesty about how you are feeling. Why have you forsaken me? I feel painful. Instead of getting, you did this and you did this and I hate you, and instead of inflicting and creating more pain. Because this is already a very, very pain-filled situation. And I'm not saying own somebody else's pain. But what I'm challenging you to do is to express that pain, to lay it all out, to be healed without inflicting more pain on anybody else. Okay, we're building that bridge. We've got that chasm. We're going from broken to forgiveness to peace. The very first thing you need to do, if you're jumping a big span, you can't weigh yourself down. If you're too weighed down, if you've got backpacks filled with rocks, if you've got a kid on this shoulder and a kid in this arm, and you're holding on to your spouse's pain and your in-laws' stress and your own parents' mortification, your chances of success go down. The very first thing you need to do is untangle yourself from everybody else's expectations of you. It's not that you are dropping them, but you are, maybe for the first time ever, or maybe for the first time in a long time, taking care of yourself and putting your own health and your own well-being first. Why? Because somebody has got to span that distance. Somebody has got to build that bridge. And if you do it, when you do it, because you can, then you can lead other people across it. You can show others the way. But if you're trying to carry everyone and everything and doing everything for everyone and pleasing everyone and trying to live up to society's expectations and your family's expectations and the church's expectations and your friends' expectations, you're going to be too bogged down, too weighed down to survive. It's that whole oxygen mask thing. You've got to take care of yourself first, and now is the time to do it. You must untangle yourself from all of those expectations, from your labels, from your roles, from your scripts, from all of these expectations, and to build that bridge for you, by you. If you ever have any hope of healing your marriage, you cannot cleave to one another from two broken halves. You each need to be whole. And so many of us, yes, we desperately want our partner to be healed and healthy and whole and complete, but we can't do it for them. The best way to bring another person into healing is to do it for ourselves and to lead by example. This is that grace thing. Gracefully untangle, build that bridge, walk across that bridge, move from broken to forgiveness and peace for you. And then if and when your partner chooses to stand that distance as well, then you can healthily cleave to one another. Okay, so we're safe, right? We are untangled. We are developing what I like to call a sense of naked self-worth. Now, before you go, naked, let me tell you what I mean by that. What happens when you're betrayed? How do you feel? If you're anything like me, you feel exposed. You feel naked on stage. You feel like everything has been exposed and that you're completely vulnerable. You feel like every flaw that you've ever had, everything that you've done wrong is suddenly out there because that's the only reason your partner would have cheated on you, blah, 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 blah. And you feel exposed. Infidelity takes away your sense of safety, your sense of worth, memories of your past, what was real, what wasn't real, your anticipated future, and it leaves you devastated, naked, and exposed. In building this bridge, in untangling, you will learn how to step fully into your sense of naked self-worth. And what that is that's the ability to value yourself, to see yourself as worthy, even when you're exposed, to be able to stand there and say, yes, this is me as an imperfect human. This is everything about me, and I'm still worthy. I'm still valuable. I am made in the image and likeness of God, and I am good, and I am worthy, and I am okay to stand here in BC. That is that naked self-worth. So you're untangled. You're standing in your naked self-worth. The jump to forgiveness is too big. So let's start with that very first step. That very first step is acceptance. We all know that we can't change the past. We can only change the future. Gosh, that one hurts, doesn't it? If you think about using your GPS, which I'm sure you have all used a GPS numerous times in your life, there's two things that matter. First, your starting location, and second, your destination, where you want to go. If you want to get to California and you put in New York as your starting destination, you're going to get a whole series of directions. If you put in Chicago as your starting destination, you're going to get a whole different series of directions. And if you put in Montana as your starting destination, you're going to get a whole different set of directions. Those 2 points matter. You cannot pretend that the betrayal is not impacting you. You can't minimize it. You can't downplay it. You can't pray it away. You must accept that it happened and that you feel the way that you feel in order to build this bridge and move towards forgiveness. Acceptance can take a long time. Within acceptance are the stages of grief, which are not linear. Some days you will rage. Some days you will be in power. Some days you will be in sadness. Be where you are. Accept where you are. God will always meet you where you are. but you have to be honest about where you are. That's acceptance. Being honest about where you are in every moment. Knowing that it will change, being okay with it changing. Acceptance is your starting place. Forgiveness is your destination. Put in the correct starting place, and you can move across that bridge. Don't put in, it's okay, but it was really my fault. If I only would have, oh, it didn't really matter. We're not going to tell so-and-so. I'm going to smile. Those are not the proper starting locations. Acceptance. Now, around acceptance, here's what I like to say. You were victimized. And that might feel like a harsh statement, but you were victimized. If somebody betrayed you, you were victimized. Good people are victimized every day. I hate saying that, but it is so true. And that's what made it so difficult for me. I kept thinking, but I did everything right. I was a good wife. I was a good mom. I tried hard. That's good, but that's for me, because of me. That's between me and God. That's around my soul. But bad things happen to good people every day. I didn't deserve this, but I was victimized. That's what being victimized is all about. And sadly, being victimized is a normal part of life. Being victimized is a very normal part of life. Whether it's car accidents or medical or whatever it is, you will be victimized, and you will be victimized again and again, sadly, even if you are a good person, even when you are a good person. But being a victim is an identity that we wear and a role that we play. Being a victim is a choice. In the middle of my journey, at one point it hit me that my husband and all these women had taken away so much. They had taken away my sense of well-being, my idea about how the world worked, what I was worth. They took so much away from me. They victimized me in the worst sense. And that I was not going to let them take away anything ever again from me. And that was when I reclaimed my power. That was when I said, I will not be a victim to this. I refuse to be a victim. It's going to be hard, and I'm going to get through it. And I don't know what the result is going to be, but what I do know is I am not going to be a victim, because I was made in the image and likeness of God, and God is not a victim. And if Jesus can be betrayed and crucified, and he can still rise again, then so can I. You betrayed me, you crucified me, and now watch me rise. And that's exactly what I did. And that's exactly what you can too. Untangle, find your naked self-worth, accept unconditionally how bad it is, what happened. Get that starting point, make your decision, and move to that next step, closing that gap on that bridge. That next step is around understanding. Understanding is up here in your head, in your brain. And it's understanding so much of what I just said, that you were victimized, but you're not a victim. It's understanding that bad things happen to good people. It's understanding how this happened and why this happened. Understanding is about a little bit of curiosity. Whether it's psychology, and why would somebody do this, and understanding around that, whether it's spirituality, whatever it is for you, what do you need to understand? What don't you get about this? I really needed to understand why my husband made these choices, because these choices didn't make any sense to me at all. As I got curious, and as he was willing to communicate with me too, I learned so much. I knew that my husband had a really, really traumatic upbringing, really traumatic. But I also started learning about his pain, how he felt like as the man, he had to be this big, strong provider who was never hurt, who never showed pain, who never showed weakness. And how that hurt him. I didn't know that. He didn't know how to have conversations. He didn't know about things like the Imago dialogue. He didn't know about like this group because marriage matters. He didn't have like conversation cards. He didn't know even what the problem was. He just knew he felt pain and alone and dissatisfaction. He felt a disconnect from God, and he didn't know why. He was afraid he was going to lose me and lose his family, because day after day, he felt more and more like an outsider in his own home. Why? Because he didn't know how to communicate, because he didn't have that support network around him. So when I would be frustrated and kind of stonewall and be cold, he would be afraid that I was leaving and he would go have an affair to make himself feel better and to make sure he was safe when I did leave. And then on the flip side, when things were really good and we were in flow and we were connected, he would think, I am so not worthy of this. Who am I to be this happy? She's going to leave me. This whole thing must be fake. It's a setup. And yes, you guessed it, he would go have another affair. That doesn't make sense from where I sit, but I do understand how from where he sat with his background, that made sense for him. I had understanding around the behaviors that I would do, the things I would say, and how they would trigger insecurity in him. How he would feel rejected by me. I'm not owning his choices, but I am understanding how our patterns and my behaviors and his background and his fears and my fears all wadded up and led to this situation. That's understanding. Your partner may or may not be willing to talk to you, but you can still develop understanding around yourself and what happened, where you disconnected from God, where you disconnected from each other, where you might not have had tools or resources. Now, here's where it starts to get good. You've untangled, you're taking care of this yourself, you're accepting, you're getting some understanding. You might be seeing counselors, you might be reading books, you might be doing, the monthly memberships and the video courses, you're talking to other people, you're getting coaching. From understanding, compassion begins to develop. Not only compassion for the other person, but compassion for yourself as well. I feel compassion for my husband's pain. I don't fully understand it based on from where I sit, but from where he sits, I understand it. And I feel his pain and I have compassion. I look back on myself as a young wife and a young mom, wanting to make everything perfect for everyone, wanting to do the best that I could, wanting to fulfill my every idea about what a good wife should do, what a good mom should do. And I have compassion and love for myself at how hard I tried. And I have compassion for how I inadvertently caused harm without realizing it. I have even compassion for the other women involved, because there was a lot of pain that they were dealing with. There was a lot of disconnection, a lack of support, a lack of tools, a lack of skills. It does not mean that I have to go back and be a victim to allow myself to be victimized, but I do have compassion. I have compassion for my poor parents, my poor in-laws, for everybody that was impacted by this. I have compassion. And that's moved me right up here next to forgiveness. And before I get to forgiveness, which is that last step, what I want to say is forgiveness is a journey. It's not a destination. And it's a choice that we have to make every single day. You have built the bridge through this training. You have understood the steps in building the bridge from this training. This bridge will be built and rebuilt over a lifetime. And the more times you build it, the more times you traverse this bridge, the more solid it will be. The more sure-footed you will be on this bridge, and the more able you will be to bring others across it. And there will be times when you will knock this bridge down and have to start all over. And that's okay too. The other thing about forgiveness is it's done for you. You're not condoning the behavior. You are not saying what you did was okay and I totally get it and I understand and I have compassion and it was about you, not me, and it's all okay, because it's not okay. It never was okay. It never will be okay. But forgiveness is for you, to give you your resurrection, to give you your eternal joy in life. That's what forgiveness is about. It's for you, it's about you, and it's by you. So let's go through that again. Untangling. This is your journey. Yes, you were in a partnership. Yes, if you're like me, I wanted to stay in partnership, and I am in partnership now, and you can be too if both of you are 100% really, truly ready and able to do the work for yourself first. You each need to build your bridges, your identities, your naked self-worth. Then you can be in partnership. So that first thing is, it's not dissolving the partnership, but it's untangling from everyone, everything, expectations, and doing this for you. Because here's the thing, there are no guarantees in life. You need to do this work for you, and then whatever will be, will be. If you do this work and you're in partnership, yes. If you do this work and realize my partner and I are in completely different places, this person isn't who I thought they were, and I don't want to be in a relationship with them. That's okay. If you still want to be in a relationship with that person, but your partner doesn't want to be in a relationship with you, you've still done this work and you will still be okay because of it. This is definitely a process where you have to release attachment from the outcome, because this is your journey and your journey alone. Acceptance. Accept that it happened. Accept where you're at each and every day. If you're mad at God, be mad at God. God can take it. Express it authentically. It will be healed. If you're in grief or rage or anger or pain or crazy psycho joy or swinging back and forth in all the emotions, accept it. You are where you are. The only thing you can do is breathe and be in each eternal moment. My tip around that is to breathe and be in each eternal moment. As I said earlier, understanding is in your head, acceptance is in your body. Get out of your head, breathe into your body. You can rub the soles of your feet on the floor. You can rub your hands together. You can rub them on the chair. Be in your body. You can even squeeze and touch. That's acceptance. I am here now. I'm grounding and I'm centering and I am in me right now. If you're like me, you get ready in the morning and you get ready at night. I rub my lotion into my face. I feel my scalp when I wash my hair and I brush my hair. I taste the toothpaste when I brush my teeth. I am in those moments, in my body, accepting and acknowledging how I feel at every moment. Understanding is next. Again, that's in your head because you're processing it. But if you're accepting and staying in your body and you're understanding and you're learning and you're growing and you're doing new tools and new skills and you're seeing coaches and therapists and clergy and reading and doing videos, you marry the head and the heart. You know where you're at, so you know what you need to learn. What you learn then seeps into your body and your being, and you find wholeness and unity and harmony. And from that place of acceptance and understanding, that's where the compassion comes in. I get it. I get me. I have compassion for this whole world. This is a really tough world. Marriage is hard. Relationships are hard. Mistakes are easy. We all make mistakes. Whether we intend to make them or not, we make mistakes. The best laid plans. If you have ever made a mistake, you know. You need compassion. You need grace. You need understanding and you need acceptance. All of those things get you to that place of compassion. And from compassion, you're right next door to forgiveness. And with the forgiveness, it's not that you have to do. It's that you have to be. You have to consciously choose forgiveness and then just allow it to be. Because it's a letting go of, it's a releasing. Acceptance is being in your body. Understanding is being in your head. Compassion is marrying the two and getting them to flow. And then it's just taken. You choose to do that. And that's what forgiveness is. It's the choice and the release. And you feel it in your body, in your heart, in your gut, and in your head. And when you wake up and you have obsessive thoughts, and when you learn something new and you get crazy, and you go back and you think about things in the past and you're triggered or whatever it is happens, it's this process, it's this bridge. Every single time I accept how I feel, I'm feeling it in my body. I'm understanding in my head, this is an attachment wound. This is a self-worth issue. This is whatever, a sex addiction. Compassion. Aligning the head and the heart, letting it flow, and I release it. I forgive myself for hanging on to it and trying to control, and I forgive my partner for their transgressions. And that's that bridge to forgiveness. Before I close, I'm going to remind you of a couple of different things. First, even though this happened to you, it is not about you. It is not about you. It was done for your greater good, not as a punishment to you. And that's a very powerful reframe that takes a while to get. But as soon as maybe a year, 18 months later, you will be able to look back and say, this was done for my greater good. And look at these bridges that I have built. And the understanding and the compassion in my heart. And my ability to breathe, release, trust God, let go and move into that place of forgiveness. It has nothing to do with anything that you did wrong. Second thing is, if you'd like more, go to www.nakedselfworth. Just like we talked about earlier, the ability, naked self-worth, the ability to stand there fully exposed and to still know that you are beautiful, wonderful, a divine child of God, made in the image of likeness of God, and that you are worthy in every moment. Go to nakedselfworth.com and you can download your free betrayal recovery guide, which will take you a little bit further than we went today. Reach out, whether it's to me or to Austin and Rachel, to the members of this community, to your own clergy. Take care of yourself, because you are a divine child of God. You deserve powerful joy, happiness, and to truly be able to build that bridge, release, and forgive, so you can move into your fullest potential in life, and so you can find that peace and that grace that you crave. Thank you, and be sure to reach out, nakedselfworth.com, to get your free betrayal recovery guide. Thank you. Bye-bye.